Hello, I'm Victoria from Biblio Lifestyle, and you're listening to the Reader's Couch podcast, the show that will help you bridge the gap between living a full and busy life to one where you're reading, learning new things, and having fun. In today's episode, I'm super excited to talk more about the Biblio Lifestyle 2024 Spring Reading Guide. And I'll also share 6 books from the guide that I think you should add to your TBR. So if you're looking for more books to add to your reading list, then this episode is just for you. So stay tuned. Hi friends, welcome again to another episode of the Reader's Couch podcast. I hope you're having a great day. I also hope you're having a great week, because today I'm super excited to talk to you about the 2024 Spring Reading Guide. It's here, it's out there in the world, and with all my guides, quite honestly, this one being no exception, I'm really excited that it's out there in the reading world, because spring to me is a time of new beginnings and fresh starts. So why not start the season with some really great books? So, if you're looking for the best new books to carry you throughout the season, then this guide and this episode is just what you need. So whether you're looking for something to get lost in, a page turner to keep you up all night, or a thought-provoking read that will challenge you, this guide has something for everyone. So if you haven't already, visit springreadingguide.com to download your free copy of the 2024 Spring Reading Guide. That's springreadingguide.com for your free copy of the 2024 Spring Reading Guide. I'll also include a link in the show notes so you can just click that and sign up there. Now, if you're hearing about the Biblio Lifestyle Spring Reading Guide for the first time, it's a free downloadable PDF guide that I create, sharing some of the best books of the season. I also include fun things to do at home or out and about in the world. You can do it by yourself, you can do it with your family or friends. Plus, you'll also find a fun recipe or two, you'll find reading and lifestyle tips, and lots more. So needless to say, I want this to be your one-stop guide for a fun and exciting and enjoyable reading season. Now, I originally sent this guide to newsletter subscribers on the first Friday in March. That was when the guide was first released. So if you're not a part of the newsletter community, take this as your sign to go over there on bibliolifestyle.com and register today, because you'll be the first person to get all our seasonal reading guides, which again, I do one in spring, which we're here talking about spring. There's one coming up in summer, which is next. I also have a fall guide and a winter guide, plus I do a bonus holiday gift guide. And if you sign up for the spring reading guide today, then you'll be on the list, so you'll always get guides in the future. If you're not interested in spring reading guide right now, but you want to get all the newsletters each week, I send 2 newsletters every week, then go to bibliolifestyle.com and sign up to join the newsletter community. Now, in order to decide on the books that I've selected for the guide, it means I read a whole bunch of books to kind of narrow down the options that I've selected in the guide. Now, the books in the guide aren't the only books that I loved from the books I've read. No, there are many others that I absolutely adored, but I only selected a handful for the guide. Now, if you're a member of the Biblio Lifestyle community, that means you also received a copy of the shortlist. Now, the shortlist is another PDF guide. Now, this guide includes every single book that I read and I loved and that I had under consideration for the reading guide. Okay, so let me give you some context so this really makes sense. The spring shortlist includes 93 books across 10 categories. Now, the free spring reading guide that I'm here to talk to you about today, that has 21 books across 6 categories. So that kind of gives you an idea of how narrow the free spring reading guide is. But the short list has every single book that I read and that I loved and that's coming out this spring. But that's not all. In the shortlist, you'll also find a list of books like recommendations for each of the books selected on the shortlist. So again, the shortlist has 93 books, but for each book, you will find at least one book like recommendation, but on the average number is 2. So you'll find 2 books like recommendations. Some you might just see 1, but then I also have some books that have 3 books like recommendations. So needless to say, your TBR will absolutely explode. But more than anything, I think the books like recommendations is just like another marker to help you decide if a book is right for you. So so that really is the ultimate list. So think of the short list as a companion to the spring reading guide. So if you're interested, if this sounds like something really interesting to you, you're like, yeah, I want a list of the books like recommendations along with all the books you read and loved, then consider this an invitation to join the Biblio Lifestyle community. This is where you'll also receive other perks as well. So it's not just the shortlist. That's not the only thing you're getting. Bonus, you'll get access to our spring reading chat video. Another thing you can find in the community is book recommendations. I just did a video for book recommendations for our reading challenge prompts. And the best part is I'm selecting really short books. So it's easy for you to just add on into your reading life so you can participate in the challenge. But it's not a chunky book that's going to take up lots and lots of your time. So you'll get that. You'll also get access to behind the scenes of my in-person book club. So we have a tea party every 2 months, and it normally revolves around a classic book or a classic author, but you also get to see me hosting in my home and my setup for these tea parties. So you get to see what food is on the menu. You actually watch me prepare it in my kitchen, set the table, and just everything ahead of time before my friends come round. So you'll get access to that. You can join or bring your own book club each month. Needless to say, there's as much or as little as you want to do in the Biblio Lifestyle community. So again, consider this an invitation. Visit bibliolifestyle.com/community for more information on how you can become a member. You can learn more about what you can expect inside. You can see your programming calendar. Again, you can get the shortlist that I was talking about and lots more. So again, bibliolifestyle.com/community. I'll include a link in the show notes along with the free guide so that you can sign up for both of these things. So you can get the free guide, join the community, get the shortlist, but also access a whole bunch of additional perks. Alrighty, so let's get back on track. We're here to talk about the 2024 Spring Reading Guide, and I want to talk about what books you can find in the guide. And I'm talking about the free guide. Now, the guide has 21 new releases organized across 6 categories. So in the guide, you'll find 6 literary fiction books, 3 historical fiction, 3 books with themes of family and friendship, 3 mysteries and thrillers, 3 science fiction and fantasy books, and 3 romance novels. And like I said at the top, in addition to the books, you'll also find some lifestyle tips, some fun activities, and you'll even find recipes. Plus, you'll find our minimalist reading list. So again, if 21 books sounds incredibly overwhelming, there's no need to fear because the minimalist reading list will have 6 books if you're only planning to just pick up a few books this spring, or again, if 21 books sounds overwhelming. And that's the list I'll be talking about today, the Minimalist Reads list. I'll be sharing each book on that list, and you'll notice both in the guide, but also as you're listening to this episode, that I've selected one standout book from each category in the guide to put together the Minimalist list. And I really do that to just kind of help readers broaden their reading horizons. So if you're sticking to the minimalist list, you're reading across genres. Easily, hands down, there's no mystery about it. And you can rest easy knowing that these books are not only just selected from across genres, so you're reading across genres, but these books are just beautifully written. They're incredibly compelling, they're thought-provoking, they're enjoyable, and these books are great for discussions. So again, those are the 6 books I'll be sharing with you today in this episode. All 6 books are from the Minimalist Reads list. So, are you ready to topple your TBR? Let's go. So the first book on my list of 6 books I think you should add to your TBR this spring is the literary fiction selection, and it is Anita de Monte Laughs Last by Xochitl Gonzalez. Now, I'm a huge fan of Xochitl Gonzalez, and you can probably tell if you've been around for some time now that I recommended Olga Dai's Dreaming in the 2022 Winter Reading Guide. So when I saw, okay, there is a new book out there by Xochitl, I wanted to add it to my TBR immediately. Fortunately, I was able to read an early copy for the guide, and I knew it had to be included. So again, the book I'm recommending is Anita de Monte Laughs Last. Now, my elevator pitch for this book is that an art history student explores a mysterious death, intertwining her research with her personal relationships and confronting issues of racism and beauty standards. Now, this book takes inspiration from the mysterious 1985 death of Cuban-American artist Ana Mendieta. So this is a very real person who mysteriously died in 1985. Now, in the book, right, we discover that there was a mysterious death in 1985 of a Cuban-American artist named Anita de Monte. So it's clear that Anita de Monte was inspired from Ana Mendieta, the real person. So in the book, we learn that Anita was married to a successful artist named Jack Martin. And while I won't spoil it, how Anita dies, just know that she dies, and it was very, very suspect. And again, this happened in 1985. Then the novel jumps to 1998, and we meet a third-year Ivy League art history student named Raquel Toro. Now, we see Raquel take an internship. She's going through her schooling, doing her school thing, and she starts her senior thesis on Jack Martin. So again, Jack Martin was the husband of the artist Anita who died, right? So anyway, she starts her senior thesis on Jack Martin, and when she discovers Anita's mysterious death, it then takes her research on Martin in a whole other direction. But then we also see her own life starting to resemble Anita's when she ends up falling in love with one of her classmates who is this wealthy, white, up-and-coming artist. And we kind of see how her boyfriend is downplaying her research and downplaying her work, which is eerily similar to what Anita's and Jack's relationship was like. So the relationship in the 1985 timeline, which is also the relationship she is Raquel is researching for her thesis. So essentially, we see this novel kind of moving back and forth through time. And it's told from the perspectives of both women. So, questions of just art and women and their agency, but also racism, beauty standards, and just, all that good stuff are really tied in to this story. If you were a fan of Olga Dai's Dreaming, I think you'll be pleased with Anita de Monte Laughs Last. But even if you never read that book, I hope you'll consider giving this book a try. If you love reading books just about students and art and history, by the way, history kind of woven in the narrative as well, I think you'll enjoy this one. So I hope you'll add Anita de Monte Laughs Last by Xochitl Gonzalez. The second book on my list of 6 books I think you should read this spring is the historical fiction selection. And the book I'm recommending is Claire by Caris Davies. Now, I'm a huge fan of Caris Davies, and again, if you've been here for some time now, you might have recognized the name Caris Davies because I selected her book, The Mission House, for the 2021 Winter Reading Guide. And this new book, Claire, absolutely blew me away. I mean, I love The Mission House, but I hate to say it, but I think this one is better. But anyway, my elevator pitch for Claire is, in 1847, a minister is sent to evict the last inhabitant of a remote island of Scotland and ends up finding an unexpected friendship while dealing with moral dilemmas and historical upheaval. Okay, so I said this was the historical fiction selection. It's very character driven though. And this one is set in 1847 Scotland. And we meet John Ferguson. He's an impoverished Scottish minister, and he has accepted a job evicting the lone remaining occupant, whose name is Ivar, by the way, off an island north of Scotland so that the land can be cleared for sheep farming. So in the novel, we meet John's wife, Mary, who isn't keen on her husband doing this job, by the way. And we also meet the man, Ivar, who is the person who needs to be cleared off the land. He's been living on this land alone for decades, and he only has his animals and the ocean for company. This story is told through alternating chapters. So we're going to hear from John, we're going to hear from Mary, we're going to hear from Ivar. And we just kind of see the calamity of John arriving on the island with his job to basically remove this man. We see the accident he has. We see the same man who he's there to remove, helping, nursing him back to health. They also form an unexpected friendship. And we're questioning whether or not if Ivar realizes what John is there to do. We're also wondering if John will tell him what he's there to do. And we also see the concern of Mary, who is John's wife, who is worried about her husband's safety. And we're essentially reading to see what will happen, what she will do, if she's going to show up or not, and what happens. So like I said, this is a story told in alternating chapters from these 3 main characters. And we're really waiting around to see what will happen, if he will tell him why he's there. Just what will happen if the wife shows up too. Again, this was a very real time in history. So, of course, the historical element. But I just really enjoyed this one. It was just incredibly captivating. It kept me turning the pages. Again, there's that historical backdrop, but there's also this mystery at the center, and you can't stop turning the pages. I've really enjoyed this one. Again, I know it's not the traditional historical fiction that folks are used to, but I hope you'll give it a try. I really do. I just think this book is incredibly brilliant. So I hope you'll give Claire by Caris Davies a go. Okay, the third book on my list of 6 books that I highly recommend you read this spring is the Family and Friendship selection. And the book I'm recommending is Worry by Alexandra Tanner. Now, my elevator pitch for Worry is that one, it's a debut novel, but it follows 2 sisters living together and how they navigate life amidst the backdrop of family drama and personal struggles while questioning their futures together. Now, like I said, this is a debut novel. We meet 2 sisters. The eldest sister's name is Jules, and she lives in Brooklyn, and she really isn't crazy excited that her younger sister Poppy will be moving in temporarily. Now, for context, prior to Poppy crashing, Jules has been living alone in her apartment that she shared with a man that she thought she'd marry. So, of course, there's lots of feelings there. And we see her spending her days just addicted to social media. She's hates scrolling the feeds of mommy bloggers online. And we also see her just kind of waiting for life to happen, you know? We also learn more about Poppy, who's a younger sister who crashes at Jules's apartment. And we discover that after Poppy finished college, she sank into a bad bout of depression. She moved back home. And we also discover that at a point, she had attempted suicide. So we see these two sisters living together. We see them navigating life. We see them navigating their love-hate relationship because, again, there's lots of, inner workings and dynamics there. We also see them take a trip home together. They're from Florida, I think. And we see them just having to ask themselves and just really come to terms with what they want their future lives to look like independently, but also what their future lives will look like with them together. So we're ultimately also reading to find out, like, are they going to end up being estranged or they're going to spend it together? So are they going to be together or are they going to be apart? I really love this story. It's one of friendship, which is a relationship I'm very passionate about. It's also a story of sisterhood. I have a sister. I'm the eldest. And, sometimes your relationships with your siblings can be fraught, and with sisters, there's that female friendship dynamic. I mean, you're all a family, but you also want to, you want to be friends. You want to actually like your sister. Again, some relationships are toxic and you just have to get rid of it. But I mean, relationships on good terms, So we see them finding themselves individually, but also finding themselves together. So it's a coming of age story. There's a family, there's a friendship, and just questioning their futures together. And oh my gosh, there's family drama in this one too. So I really enjoyed this one. I hope you'll give it a try. And this one is Worry by Alexandra Tanner. Okay. Book 4 on my list of books you should add to your reading list this spring is the Mysteries and Thriller selection from the guide. And the book I'm recommending you read is The New Couple in 5B by Lisa Unger. Absolutely love this one. And I can say, because I've already had a chat with her, I have an interview with Lisa Unger. So it's coming. It will be on the podcast feed. So stay tuned. I was so thrilled I could speak to her because I love this book. I really, really do. So this is a thriller. So, it's kind of hard to talk about these books without getting into spoilers. So I will try my best. But my elevator pitch for this one is a surprise inheritance of a luxury apartment takes a really dark turn for a couple as it leads to a series of sinister events as the building's dark past and deadly secrets come to light. I mean, sounds good, right? Now, I love this thriller, and it's not just because of the obvious, twist that you find in mysteries and thrillers, but for me, it was the haunting and just eerie vibe you felt throughout the book. I also love when a building, in addition to the apartment, but the building more than anything, felt like just a central character in itself. So that's always a win for me. But it was the atmosphere, it was the vibe, and you're going to get this blend of mystery, but also horror and gothic. And this book just had all the vibes. Okay, so in this novel, we meet Rosie. And Rosie is an author who's struggling to start her second book. And we meet her husband, Chad, who's an aspiring actor. Now, these two are barely making ends meet, and they're living in New York City. We discover in the beginning they're both caring for Chad's uncle, right? He's dying, Uncle Ivan. And Rosie, who's our narrator, by the way, figures that Ivan's daughter, though estranged, her name is Dana, will be the one to inherit this posh apartment, right? It's very fancy, very posh. It's a Park Avenue apartment, and it's in a historic area and historic building called the Windermere. Again, the Windermere is a character all unto itself, and I absolutely love that. But anyway, when Ivan passes, they discover that not his daughter, but they are the ones, Rosie and Chad, to inherit this apartment. He left it to them, which is life-changing news to this couple. But Dana, the daughter, though estranged, is not pleased, right? She is not happy that she was cut out of her inheritance. She is furious. Now, this inheritance, because it's prime real estate, it's worth a lot of money. And Rosie is thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. This is a great time to start her family. So she's working to get pregnant. She wants to get pregnant. Plus, she also has an idea for her second book. She decides to write a book, and she has the blessing from, her agent, her friends, and all her peoples to write her book on the history of the residents who all died under mysterious circumstances at the Windermere. But in real time now, people in Rosie's orbit start to die. And she starts getting really, really suspicious, right? She's getting suspicious of her neighbors who've taken a special liking to her, especially because they know she's trying to have a baby. She starts to be suspicious of the doorman. She even starts becoming suspicious of her husband, Chad. So, like I said, the building itself gives you all that, all the vibes, all the feels. So for me, that always takes me back to Rebecca and Mandalay. But you are getting huge doses of Rosemary's Baby in this one. And if you love thrillers that give you the vibes and that the atmosphere is just incredibly well done, because you can feel it page to page, then I think you'll really enjoy this one. So I hope you give it a try. It's really, really good. The New Couple in 5B by Lisa Unger. Okay, book 5 of books to read this spring is a science fiction and fantasy selection. And the book I'm recommending is A Short Walk Through a Wide World by Douglas Westerbeck. Apologies if I butchered the last name, but I really enjoyed this book. It was just so much fun. And my elevator pitch for this one is a woman with a mysterious curse has to travel to stay alive, and we see her form friendships, have romances, and find joy while discovering what it means to truly live. And I really think that sums up this book really good, because we do meet a woman with a mysterious illness or a curse. We're wondering what it is. And she will die if she stays in the same place or if she returns to a place she previously visited. So she's always on the go. A Short Walk Through a Wide World is set in 1885 Paris. And we meet a 9-year-old girl named Aubrey. Now, Aubrey and her sisters, Pauline and Sylvie, they stumble across this really strange well in a courtyard, and they assume, as children do, that this is a wishing well. And they all decide that they're going to sacrifice something they have, something physical that is meaningful to them, and they're going to do that in return for wishing for something good. When it's Aubrey's turn, she does something different from her sisters, and you'll have to read to find out, but just know that night when she is home, she starts to feel really ill. She's having lots of pain, she starts to bleed, she's having seizures, she's not doing good. So obviously they went to the doctor, many visits, but they're unable to come up with a diagnosis and say, well, this is what's going on, this is how we can fix it. But they discover through trial and error that Aubrey becomes very sick if 1, she stays anywhere for more than a couple of days, or 2, if she returns to a place where she's already been. So once they figured that is the start of her lifelong journey on the run from this mysterious illness, condition, curse, whatever it is. But she's on the road with her mum. But as time goes by, a couple of years go by, Aubrey realizes just how exhausted her mum is. So she steals away one night and she decides to go off on her own. So now she's traveling by herself. And we see Aubrey as she circles the world, as she forms friendships, she has romances, and again, like I said at the top, she finds joy and she discovers truly what it means to be alive and what it means to live. Again, I really enjoy this book. It's incredibly thought-provoking, but just escapist, magical, fun. I hope you'll give it a try. I also hope I can get the author on the podcast. I hope I can get all the authors on the podcast, but you know how it goes, timing, scheduling, and all this stuff. But had so much fun with this book. I hope you'll give it a try. And it's A Short Walk Through a Wide World by Douglas Westerbeck. Okay, book 6 on my list of books to read this spring, and the last book on the minimalist reads list is my romance selection. And the book I'm recommending you read is In a Not So Perfect World by Neely Tubati Alexander. Now, this book was so much fun, and I think we need some fun in our lives. And my elevator pitch for this book is a heartbroken video game designer agrees to pose as a fake girlfriend for her neighbor, but on their trip, she finds her resolve to stay single is tested. I had so much fun with this book. It was a perfect escapist read, and I find myself gravitating to lots of escapism lately, and this one just checked all the boxes. It was so good. So in the novel, we meet Sloane and Charlie. Now, Sloane is a designer for a top video game company, and she's up for a promotion at work for her dream job. Now, during her panel interview, she promises that she'll remain single, and so she'll be fully available and fully dedicated to her work. Now, in Sloane's mind, this is very doable because after her last boyfriend, Zane, cheated on her, she's very much focused on her career anyway, so no interest in love at this time. Now then we meet Charlie. Now Charlie turns out to be a guy she kissed when her friends dared her to kiss someone on a night out. But when this guy also turns out to be Sloane's hot new neighbor, oh my gosh, things change. Now, it's very clear that there's a serious attraction on both sides, so both Sloane and Charlie, they're very attracted to each other. But we also discover that Charlie is also going through a breakup situation because he still has feelings and is kind of hung up over his ex-girlfriend, Brooke. Now, it doesn't help that Charlie still has tickets to go to Turks and Caicos. He has 2 tickets. It was a trip he had originally planned for himself and his ex, Brooke. But then Charlie impulsively asks Sloane to join him, which he is hoping that by her coming, it will make Brooke jealous. Sloane, on the other hand, she initially turned the whole idea down. She's like, I'm not going to go. But for reasons you'll discover in the book, she decides to go, and she uses this opportunity to work on her video game demo that she has planned for work. So essentially, we see these 2 fake dating on their simply stunning beach vacation, mind you. But we also see them getting to know each other. They start to open up more. And of course, more sparks start to fly. Like I said earlier, this is a very fun and just escapist, slow burn romance. And you can really feel the sparks and the chemistry just kind of flying off the page. I had so much fun with this one. And yeah, if you're looking for a slow burn romance, if you're looking for an escapist read, also this one is set in Turks and Caicos, absolutely beautiful, then I highly recommend you read In a Not So Perfect World by Neely Tubati Alexander. Alrighty, friends, there you have it. These 6 books I'm recommending you to read this spring. So again, quick recap. The books I'm recommending are Anita de Monte Laughs Lass by Xochitl Gonzalez, Claire by Caris Davies, Worry by Alexandra Tanner, The New Couple in 5B by Lisa Unger, A Short Walk Through a Wide World by Douglas Westerbeck, and In a Not So Perfect World by Neely Tubati Alexander. Again, if you haven't already, visit springreadingguide.com to download your free copy of the 2024 Spring Reading Guide. I'll also include a link in the show notes so that you can get your free copy of the guide there. And again, if you're interested in getting a copy of the shortlist with all the 93 books I've read and loved and that I had under consideration for the guide, plus you'll also get a list of books like recommendations as well, visit bibliolifestyle.com/community. Alrighty, friends, that's all for now. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening, and I'm looking forward to talking with you again soon. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to the Reader's Couch podcast. Please subscribe to the show, share it with a friend, and take a few seconds to leave a rating and review. Until next time, stay lounging, stay reading, and whenever you're in doubt, go straight to your local bookstore or library. Thanks again for listening, and happy reading.